Hello YouTube, and here we are again. By the end of the last episode I'd finished construction of my shed, insulated it, secured it with a lock, and also added some light on the outside to make it look good at night. It's time to start work on the inside. This is a power shed after all. I've got the shed, now time to add the power. First step is to install an inverter. Okay, so the first thing to do is to install the MPP PIP solar inverter on the wall of the shed and get it wired up to power, and then I can bring in the batteries on a temporary basis for now and just stack them up here so they work. Eventually I'm going to mount them up on the wall there, but for now I think I might just put them on this flat surface here, just as a temporary measure. Then once I've got the inverter installed on the wall here, then I will run some cable to these sockets that I've mounted here above the worktop. I'm going to mount the monitor on the wall and the computer. Then I've got to bring the other Raspberry Pi computer that talks to the inverter, mount that on the wall here, and the network switch, and get that all routed up, and then hopefully we'll be good to go. So let's get started. I chose the MPP Solar 5048 MS off-grid inverter. It's a 5 kilowatt inverter that uses a 48 volt battery. It can also run off and charge via a generator, or in my case, the grid. This means that I can use it even before I get round to installing the solar panels on the roof. I can charge the battery from cheap night rate electricity and then run the shed for days from that. Here's the inverter I chose on AliExpress. I bought mine from eBay, but this is the same model. Okay, so there we have it. Perfect. The first thing I'm doing is installing a small distribution box. This is to house the breakers for the grid connection to the inverter, which will act as the generator, the output from the inverter to the shed, and 2 DC breakers for the eventual roof-mounted solar panels that I'll be fitting in a later video. Okay, so I've got some miniature circuit breakers here. These ones are for future solar panels. So that's just DC disconnect, which will eventually be on the roof of the shed. This one is for the power output from this inverter to protect the cable, and this one was power input to also to protect the cable, although at the moment it's just plugged into a domestic outlet because it won't pull more than 13 amps, so it's got a 13 amp plug on it with a 13 amp fuse, etc. So it should only pull about 10 amps, so it should be fine, but I put that there for the future in case I wire it directly in. But yeah, so just going to wire this up now with the connections in the inverter, and then we can get the batteries. just finished wiring up this circuit box, so I'm going to put the cover on now. I've got the wire coming out, this one. This is going to go off to sockets just internally in the shed. That's all connected. I just need to obviously bring the batteries in and connect the battery terminals up here, and then that will be good. So far so good. Onwards and upwards. Okay, so here we are on the inside, and at the moment I've had to just shoehorn everything in just to get up and running quickly, but there's a lot of tidying up's going to go on in here, a lot of improvements which I will document, but initially I just had to get everything up and running so I could move all my stuff in here. So you can see we've got this MPP solar inverter. Currently doesn't have any solar panels yet. They are to follow in a future video, but at the moment I just charge the batteries from the grid and then run off the batteries. But once I've got the solar panels installed, they will charge the batteries in here. So yeah, I've got my batteries in here. I won't talk too much about those at the moment. That's for a future video. This is my main bus bar. These wires are pretty untidy at the moment, and that's because I didn't have the correct size lugs to wire it up properly. I ordered some, and those have now arrived, so that is a job for today, to connect them up correctly and neaten those cables up. All this other spaghetti will all be tidied up and moved in future when the batteries get located to their correct positions. So I put in a worktop for me to work at. It's a nice height for me. I found these old LED strip lights in the house that we weren't using for anything. They'd been sat there for over a year, so I thought I'd repurpose those into here. I've got an idea for maybe controlling the colour of these from the Raspberry Pi. Again, that will come in a future video. So this is my Raspberry Pi. This is controlling part of my home automation system. In particular, it talks to that inverter to collect data about how much power it's producing, etc., etc. I've got these 4 relay block here, which is basically allows the Pi to turn on and off the outside lights in the shed, and eventually again these inside lights will be wired into that, so that will free up another plug socket here, because I want these plug sockets free for things that I'm using on the desktop. What else? We have this old monitor which I had lying around in the house. It wasn't doing anything, so mounted that to the wall in here just so I can see what's on the Pi screen if I need to, and an old PC that was lying around the house as well. Again, I've just mounted it on the wall here temporarily. Actually, that'll probably stay there, but the power supply will be moved and some of these drives will be reorganized, but again, it's just to keep the worktop clear, but give me something to work for. Here I've got my batteries in the process of being processed. Again, that's for a future video, I'll talk about that. Mounted some of my tools on the wall here. And then underneath here I've just got just junk, really. And a load of my other gear down there. So I'm still in the process of moving in, but you know, I've got somewhere to start. So as I said, today the goal is to make these nice and flush on the wall as they go into there, and put correct size lugs on the end to wire them up to these bus bars. So that's what I'm going to do today, so let's do that. Okay, so first things to do is we need to shut down the inverter. So we switch off under here. Okay, that's off. And then the next thing we need to do is disconnect it from the batteries. So let's do that. Okay, that's the lugs detached. So what I had to, these lugs were too small, and I had to cut a lot of the wiring to get it to fit in there, so it's not ideal. So now I've got the correct size lugs, I can cut these wires to the right length and fit them properly. So let's measure up. that's where the rubber wants to come to. And then the metal wants to come out to about here. That's where I want to cut that one off. Can't see the marks now. There it is. See, I don't think those are going to go through that. Let's use more cutters. Okay. Always one that sticks out the edge, isn't there? No. Okay, that's good. So now okay, so that's that one done. Just do the positive one now. So these wires are temporary. I will be tidying these up in a future video. Once I've moved the batteries to their final locations, because where they are currently is not where they will be ultimately. Okay. Right. Pen. So let's put that in there. Nice. Okay, that's one tight. Let's get a nice spot the mistake. That isn't going to fit now, is it? I should have put that on first. Stupid. Right, we'll put that one on there. It's the only one that's big enough, but it doesn't matter. It's just for protection. Where it's in the blower. Okay. Okay, now let's just switch off the output power and the input power. back on. Okay, these will need tidying up with some better clips. These are not the right sort of clips, they're just what I happen to have lying around at the time. I'll get some proper ones, make it nice and neat, but that's looking a lot better anyway. Okay, let's turn everything back on. It's looking good. Probably start noticing interference on the cameras now. That's the one downside about my shed, is that I didn't realise that this thing gives off so much electromagnetic radiation. It interferes with the camera, so this is not going to be a really good place for me to make my videos. Okay, we have power. So we should be able to put the lights back on. Ta-da! Job done. Okay, so yeah, I need to get some clips, tidy that up, and then I need to move the batteries to where they should be. Those are probably going to end up on this wall here, above this, so and then that will leave that space free down there, and I can get this stuff up off the floor. Okay, but that's it for this video, I think. So yeah, that's an introduction to my shed, and like I say, lots more projects coming up to do with the lights and the batteries and making more batteries and etc, etc. Okay, so I'll catch you on the next video. Cheers.